So the second stop on our tour of street foods of the world, we're going to be heading to southern India. And this is a dish that we both have trouble pronouncing. So if we have any Indian people in the audience who can correct us.
I've been saying Masala Vada. Is that incorrect? No one knows? Okay. Then today, that's what it's going to be called. Until somebody comments. Or you can call them, what I called them was a South Indian style falafel, because it's very kind of similar to that. And what I love about this is, again, very versatile. You start off with, a pulse and add whatever flavors you want, and you end up with these great tasting little sort of snacks. And any of the stuff we do, like especially this one here, these are fantastic to make a batch. And I'll often do that even with falafels. Make a batch, they freeze exceptionally well. And then when you want, you pop a couple in a pan, throw them in the oven, and you're good to go. So this is a great one to do ahead of time. What we're using here, the base of these masala vada, we're using chana dal. So dal is a pulse, legumes, various different styles. This one here comes from black chickpeas that are hulled and they're split. They're fantastic. You can find them, again, I found them at ELLICSR. You can find them at most grocery stores now. I'm sure in a lot of bulk stores they'll have them as well. They look a lot like yellow split peas. They're actually almost identical to yellow split peas, but it's not the same.
But would yellow split peas work in this recipe?
That's actually a good question. For me, my experience with making any sort of like yellow split pea or anything like that, it takes forever to cook. These soften up very quickly, so I don't know if they would work. But
try to find split chickpeas.
You can use any sort of dal though. I've done it with tur dal as well, which are a little bit smaller, and they work just as well. So we're going to be using the chana dal, and what you want to do ahead of time is just soak it for about 2 to 3 hours. Cover it with water. Make sure you cover it a few inches above because they'll start to expand. And this is actually what they look like dry. I'll pass it around so you guys can have a look. But they soften up really well. We're not cooking them or anything, just dried and soaked. So into a food processor, it just makes it a lot quicker. Sometimes meat grinders are used, like those sort of grinders, and it gets just a little bit of a finer. But I don't know how many people have meat grinders at home. Probably not many. Food processors are fantastic. I use it for almost everything, so it's a great tool to invest in. So we're going to chop these up just until they're really, really fine, almost like small breadcrumbs. They're loud. And you can just keep an eye on it. I'll show you the different stages. See how it breaks down pretty easily. I didn't cook it at all. It's just soaked. And we're going to pulse it again. And if you continue to pulse it, you'll turn it into a sort of paste. That's a little too much. It's a little too fine. I know sometimes they're made with pulsing it a little bit of the dal, so it's a paste, and then leaving the rest kind of chunky. What you want is just get it to a form where it holds together. So see, by squeezing it, it sticks together. So I'm good. At this point, I'm okay. A little less or a little more coarse, it would fall apart. It would break apart.
What if you overdo it? It's just gonna all the water comes out.
It's gonna get really kind of pasty, and you want some of that texture. You want to taste some of that dal, some of that coarse texture to it.
So if you overdid it and went a bit too far, could you just add some extra?
You can add some extra dal. Yeah, that'd be a good idea.
Or turn back time, whatever is easier.
That is impossible. Okay, so we're gonna add the dal to, and you can see that sort of breadcrumb almost texture.
Mealy.
Very mealy, yes. And because it's able to bind like that, we don't need an egg. We don't need to add any sort of other binder to it. Let it falling apart on us. And these are, again, delicious. They're commonly deep fried as well. And we're gonna do something a little different. So dal's gonna go in. Next, we're gonna add, again, and this is where you can get creative. We're gonna add some garlic. This is a whole clove of garlic. It's gonna go into the food processor. Some ginger. Fantastic, big flavor here.
A really cool trick to get the skin off of your ginger is just use a spoon. And rather than trying to use a peeler, it just scrapes right off really easily. And you don't have to worry about cutting yourself.
So the ginger's gonna go in. Chili if you want, if you like it, want to add a little bit of heat. What I'm gonna do here is if you like just a little bit of heat, just remove the seeds. So split it in half. For this one, I'll just use half the chili. And you want to take that sort of middle vein out with all the seeds attached. That's where all the heat is. So I just decided to add cilantro too, because I love cilantro. Again, you can add whatever you want in there.
One.
And what I want to do is, the last thing I'm going to add is onions. I want to pulse this up pretty fine before I start adding the onions. The reason I do that is because if I pulse these too much, they release a lot of moisture, a lot of water, a lot of liquid, and I don't want to make the mixture soggy. So I'm going to pulse the ginger, the chili, the garlic, just to break it up a little bit.
And you don't want to have one of these, you know, little, what are we calling them?
What? Oh, these. Masala Vada.
Masala Vada, or your little fritter. You know, obviously you don't want big chunks of garlic or ginger. It's just going to be too powerful. You want to really evenly distribute some of those flavors.
I'm just going to help it a little bit. Remember when cutting, I always try to remind people, keep an eye on your thumb. The thumb is the digit that sort of squirm out of control and gets in the way of the knife. I know this from experience because I've lost about quite a bit of my thumb. So anyways, just keep an eye on it. We're making a video soon, all on finger safety, because it's very important in the kitchen. So always,
if anyone was here a couple weeks ago, he was duct taped
I was
together.
duct taped.
So
always keep it
do as he says, not as he does.
Tucked underneath. So I hold, if I'm holding anything, like an onion, whatever it is, hold it with the fingers and kind of curl them so that I'm just exposing the knuckles. And then with the thumb, it'll, trust me, watch it. It'll tend to do this, and it'll tend to go right in front of the blade.
Has a mind of its own.
Yes, always keep it tucked underneath. And what you can do is that's actually very useful. You use it to kind of push the ingredients in front of your knuckles so that you can chop them. The knuckle, if you lose a little bit of knuckle, that's fine. It doesn't even hurt that much. Throw it in the garbage, though. Yeah. So I'm just going to pulse it.
This recipe is knuckle-free, don't worry.
Knuckle-free, thumb-free. So we're going to pulse it just until, I don't mind that it's uneven. You know, you get a little bigger piece of onion, a little smaller piece of onion.
Gives it some nice color, too.
Absolutely. So we're going to add, and this smells really, really, really incredible right now. A lot of flavor. The ginger, the chili, the garlic. We're going to add all of this to that chana dal.
Both the garlic and the ginger have been shown to have antioxidant properties and anti-inflammatory properties as well. And so we know that inflammation is an important factor that may help to promote cancer and other chronic diseases like heart disease. So trying to include some of these anti-inflammatory foods may help to prevent and manage some of these chronic diseases. Okay,
and the last couple ingredients you're going to add, spices, dried spices. Again, whatever you like. Typically, when I've seen these and when I've had them, cinnamon has always been added. That's kind of that sort of pronounced spice. I love cinnamon, but if you don't like cinnamon, obviously you don't have to add it. I'm adding also some fennel seed and some cumin seed as well. Toast them up and grind them fresh ahead of time. And we do that using just a spice, or I call it a spice grinder. It's a coffee grinder. And I just use it for spices. And it's the flavor, the aroma is 100 times better than buying the powdered ones. If you want to use the powdered ones, you can use the powdered ones.
We did a really interesting class all on different spices and some of the nutritional benefits that they have. And so just like the flavor is more potent if you grind your own spices, the same thing is true of the antioxidant power. So if you buy those, big jars of already ground spices and you don't go through it for a couple of years, Not only is it not going to taste great by the time you get to the end of it, but you're not getting those same health benefits. Like your cinnamon, for example, there's some preliminary research showing that it may help to control blood sugar levels. So it's shown some promise in diabetes so far.
And then the last thing is just a couple tablespoons of flour. Now this is chickpea flour, so I'm trying to keep it all in the same family, but you can use regular all-purpose flour, is fine. And again, this is just going to help in the forming of these, help keep the ingredients, just make it easier to bind together. So I'm going to mix it up. And this is going to make me probably, depends how big you make them, but I like doing like little small, almost meatball size.
It tastes better if they're smaller, if you think about it. So
yeah. And this
you're going to have more surface area exposed to kind of get crispy and crunchy so that it's less, you know, crumbly and dry on the inside.
And this will make about 20 to 24 size depending on how big you make them. So if you wanted to make like a bunch of them, just, you know, double the recipe. And when you freeze them, so I'm rolling them into a ball, and then I'm just going to pat them down a little bit, just until they're like, again, little medallion style. And this is when you would freeze them. So put them onto a baking sheet, small baking sheet with parchment paper. Don't make them touch each other. Into the freezer for about an hour, 2 hours, just until they're solid frozen, and then put them into a Ziploc bag. These would stick together, and you would have a massive falafel, chana dal, or masala, vadai. I'm mixing them all together now. And so it just keeps them separated. So individually freeze them, then package them together. I'm going to make a few here. And we can bake them if we wanted. Again, like I said, these are usually fried. They're delicious. And we're just going to cook them on a cast iron pan.
Could you bake these if you wanted to?
Yeah, you can bake them.
It would be faster if you're doing a big batch.
I find
not as
you
crispy.
get a nice crust, yeah, when you do them in a cast iron pan. Cast iron is sort of like a natural non-stick, so it's a great pan to use. It's a little heavy, that's the only downfall, but other than that, it's fantastic. We're gonna add a little bit of grapeseed oil, so about a tablespoon or so.
And if you have questions about why we're using certain oils when we're doing a little bit of quick and easy frying, so we have a great video on our YouTube channel all about the types of oils to use for different types of cooking. And it's all based on the smoke point of the oil. So if you're putting something like, you know, a nice avocado oil or flaxseed oil, you don't want to be heating something like that up. As soon as you add a certain level of heat to that, you're going to see the oil start to smoke or burn. And that's actually a sign that it's producing carcinogens. So you're not only losing the nutritional value, but there's some toxins that are being created by that oil burning. So it's important to know which oils to use and in which situations.
Yeah, grapeseed oil is great for this one. It'll take a little bit more heat.
Yeah, it can handle the higher temperatures, and it's more of a neutral flavor, so we like to use it in baking too.
Now you want to use about a medium-high heat. Just keep in mind, if you are using cast iron, it heats up very well, even if it's at a medium setting. So I tend to start off with a medium-high and then turn it down to medium, even medium-low. You kind of have to gauge it because it holds heat very, very well. And it'll often get even hotter than what you kind of initially dialed it to. The best sign is just use your senses. So I can kind of hear it. Can you guys hear it? But we're all quiet.
It should be whispering, not screaming
the pen
at
whisper. Yes, and so it's got a little sizzle. See, and this, don't worry about this. Like, they're uneven. That's fine. It happens.
I like when they're different sizes.
That's good, I think that's good.
Add some character.
So those are going to cook for about 3 minutes per side, just until they're nice and golden brown. You can even finish them off in the oven if they're still a little too moist inside. Just to heat them up, you can even keep them warm. They're fantastic, delicious. And what we're going to do is serve a little side with it.
Absolutely.
So we're going to make a green chutney. Again, big flavor, absolutely delicious. I'm just choosing 3 different types of herbs. You can just do cilantro, you can just do mint. I've got mint, cilantro, and parsley. So this is going to be very flavorful.
And all of these herbs are excellent sources of vitamin K, which is important for blood clotting.
We're going to add garlic again, because we love our significant others, and garlic is the best way to show that.
Exactly. Some good, good indications that garlic may help to lower LDL levels as well, which is the lousy cholesterol or the bad cholesterol in your blood. So it may be beneficial in terms of heart health.
Okay, yogurt. This is optional. I like the yogurt. It adds a nice little coolness to it, especially if you've added something spicy. This will add that nice cooling effect to it, because it makes it really nice and creamy. Okay, so zest of the lemon. Again, big punch of citrus flavor. Delicious. We're gonna add the juice of that entire lemon as well. Now, anytime I put down like a recipe, 1 lemon, 1 lime, that can mean 1 tablespoon of juice. It can mean 4 tablespoons of juice, depending on how good that lemon or lime is. So for something like this, you want a lot of juice. You want a lot of liquid. So if you have a bad lemon, let's use the measure of about a quarter cup, about a quarter cup. So it's a good amount of lemon juice. Now, if the lemon juice, if the acidity in the lemon juice is a little too aggressive for you, just use the lemon zest. Excellent punch of lemon flavor, great citrus without that sort of acidity. And then just add a little bit of water to this. Okay, so lemon in.
And we're going to be adding some more heat.
If you want.
Because we can.
I'm just showing it. It's a green jalapeno or any sort of green chili. You can add to this as well. That little punch. I'm not adding it, but you can if you want. It's already so hot in here. I know we're all going to be sweating. A little pinch of salt.
Make my hair burn.
And just about a tablespoon of olive oil, and we're going to pulse this up. Now you can do it as thin, you can even leave a little chunky if you want. I'm looking for it to be a little bit thinner, so I'm going to add just a little bit of water to this. I'll show
You want
what
it to
looks
be like a dip kind of consistency?
Almost like a nice little dip. Ooh. So you want to flip those about halfway through just to make sure you get a nice crust on both sides. And that is perfect. So big flavor, the mint, the cilantro, the lemon juice.
Great way to get in some greens and some flavor at the same time.
All right, so we're gonna plate this down. And you can do this as like a little dip on the side. I'm just gonna put a little bit in the middle here. And then sometimes a sweetness is added to chutneys. I'm just gonna add just a little bit of honey. And you can add this to the mixture. I like the slow, this is the dramatic, slow drizzle onto the plate. And then we can go ahead and plate these little fritters. And again, do them about a couple minutes per side. But they have this delicious crispiness.
You're getting some excellent fiber, and they're a good source of protein as well.
Really, really tasty.